my friends, and welcome back. It is Wednesday, my dudes, and I have a flu. Yeah, I'm quite sick. I feel in my head like I am underwater or everything is in slow motion, so forgive me if I'm a bit slow today. My head is super thick, but not as thick as this situation, because Ukrainians deployed the first Azov National Guard Corps to the Pokrovsk salient, because Russians, as we discussed in the previous videos, Russians made this about 10 clicks long penetration through Ukrainian lines with their DRGs, or these 2 to 3 man groups, and there were many of these groups that penetrated through behind Ukrainian lines and started driving towards the Donbas line, which they actually crossed in some areas. Now, this was a very worrying development, but now, as it turned out, it was not a main penetration. There was no follow-up with the armed vehicles, there was no follow-up with massive forces. It started with the DRG groups and it ended with them. So now what we hear is that Ukrainians have been pushing back these penetrations. It's very good news actually for us and for Ukraine. But I'll just let you know who was deployed, because the brigades Ukraine deployed there are true superstar brigades. We're talking about 1st Presidential Brigades, 12th Special Purpose Brigade, 20th Operations Brigade, 14th Operations Brigade, and 15th Operational Brigade, And this all together is 1st National Guard Azov Corps, which is the superstar corps or unit that Ukraine has. And they've been deployed to this, you can see the blue line right here, Kramatorsk to Dobrapilya. Whoa, this is what it is. So Ukraine is taking this penetration extra seriously. And now, it all started about 4 days ago, and now we got information already from the front, and if you're screaming already, Artur, don't share it, this is OPSEC. Well, Ukrainians are sharing it, so I guess they want Russians to know about this. A Ukrainian military blogger from the front, the Demon from Bakhmut, reports that Ukrainian forces, through successful counterattacks, managed to destroy the Russian groups that had advanced in the Dobrapilya sector and push them back. So this is very good news. And also, it is to be expected, because this is not like we saw 2 years ago, where Russians would penetrate somewhere and then pour massive amounts of units and armored vehicles through that penetration. This here was 2 to 3 man groups with flags and Kalashnikovs to plant a flag somewhere, make a propaganda stunt, and then just die. That's what they did, that's what they were designed for, trained for, or not trained for, because they were not trained. This is now a search and destroy operation by the Ukrainians. They are searching these groups of infantrymen, destroying them, and the front line remains relatively unchanged behind it. So how far did these DRG groups get? How do we know it? Well, I have a very short thread for you which uses a very fun and interesting method to find out. Seeing a lot today on Russian potential breakthrough north of Pokrovsk, so here's the map. This is a collation of a recent Sentinel-2 and other satellite imagery from August 8th to 10th. And we can actually tell how far they got thanks to satellite imagery seeing burned fields, because right now the wheat is, or any kind of crops is, summer crops is kind of ready. It's August, it's already been cut or not, harvested or not. Anything that lands on a dry field will burn that field. So where the fields are burned, that's where the artillery shells and drones are landing. So you know how far is the fighting by seeing the black spots and black fields from the satellite imagery. That's a very nice method. Very primitive, but it works. So we know how far they got, and actually this is it. This is the Donbas line. They got like a few hundred meters over the Donbas line, and now supposedly they have been pushed back. Not pushed back, they have been destroyed. These units are not units to be pushed back. They're, you destroy them, because they cannot go back, because they will be shot by their own guys. So they have been destroyed. And to end this topic, I just want to share you, I saw this video. It's a sad Russian donkey. It's not a metaphor. It's a real donkey. It's a logistics donkey. Look at that. You're a donkey and you find out that you spawned in the Russian army. In short, UAVs are gone, Urals are gone, delivery transport. Here come the guys leading a donkey. Is it a she or a he? He. Hello, hey, hello. Look at that sad little donkey. Honestly, looks so damn sad. And I would be also if I would spawn in the Russian army. I'd press the reset button immediately. My friends, when I do these Ukrainian updates, I start with researching, and that includes me looking through hundreds and hundreds of different news from different news sites. That's quite tedious actually, and sometimes, actually always, almost every day, I recognize Russian disinformation campaigns, and I don't want them in my brain. This is why I use Ground News. Ground News is the #1 news comparison site in the world, and it really helps me push out the garbage and keep what I want to see. I have here 2 topics for me. This is a For You page in Ground News, and these 2 topics for me personally are Ukraine and Ukraine war. I want nothing else. This really makes my workflow more efficient. Here I can see news that I want to read that is connected to Ukraine, so I can really do my research and get ready for filming. And then I do film and edit, and the editing itself takes a lot of time, so I gotta be efficient at the beginning of the day. Out of these news articles, I picked Senate panel advances funding bill with $1 billion for Ukraine. I mean, this is of course United States Senate approving next year's defense spending, which is a big, beautiful amount. On the right panel here, I can see the coverage detail. Total news sources 28. I mean, if there's only 1 or 2 news sources reporting on the news, you know it's not popular enough or it's too local to get to your field of vision. Below that we have the bias distribution, and you can see it's 72% center. Or if it's leaning right or leaning left, you know your political views best, so you can pick the area where you want to read. I personally would like to keep it as center as possible. And below that is one of the most important tabs here, which is the factuality of this news across all of these 28 sources, which is 89% high factuality. Out of that 89%, 50% is very high factuality. This is good enough for me, it should be good enough for you. And below that there is also the ownership of the news houses who report on this. Another awesome tool Ground News gives you is the list of all of the sources with the headlines. You can see different headlines below each other, and you can see are they center, low factuality, high factuality, leaning left, leaning right. And note that the wording in each title differs on their agenda. It is very interesting to see. I use all of these tools Ground News gives me to make the most efficient research before I shoot my videos. I think so should you. By the way, you can get the same plan I use for nearly half the price. Just go to ground.news/Artur or scan the QR code on the screen to get their unlimited access Vantage plan for just $5 a month. Or you can also make it a gift. Gift it to somebody as a birthday present or anniversary. It's a good gift about the truth of information. It's actually one of the best gifts. Thank you Ground News for sponsoring today's video. But now my friends, let's take a look at the Russian gasoline prices. Why is it important? Well, Russia is one of the biggest gasoline or oil producing and exporting countries in the world, so naturally they should always have low gasoline prices because their oil infrastructure, if there were no war, would be massively built out and really good, because the majority of the money would go to that infrastructure because it makes money for the elite in Russia. Well, now Ukrainians have been playing this Russian oil refinery bingo. You know what I'm talking about, the oil refinery card, when you get the bingo, you are happy. Well, Ukrainians have been destroying them left and right, and suddenly we see the biggest oil exporting and producing country in the world have massive spikes in gasoline prices internally. Wow, my friends, this tells us that Ukrainian sanctions in the form of drones striking Russian oil refineries, it's working. It's working because their population is paying a lot more for gasoline right now, so keep it going. But now, my friends, I want to show you a Russian recon drone. Now, this information came out quite a while ago. I never reported on it, but this video is so clear-cut, I have to. I think this is Taras, what is it, Taras or Get a Better drone, Russian recon drone, and it's fitted with a certain kind of AI capability that it scans all around it. The main goal is to see to the ground. It's a recon drone. It's fixed-wing, high-flying recon drone. But Ukrainian interceptor drones are hunting them. So what the Russians did, and they're doing that to the Shahed also, is they fitted it with an AI chip that scans the tail also, sees the interceptor and immediately changes the course. This is, whoa, the sound effects. This is programmed evasive maneuvers. It's doing evasive maneuvers, and I don't know if it's AI guided or not, but supposedly the fact that it sees the interceptor drone and makes the evasive maneuvers, it's supposedly AI driven, AI powered, whatever you want to call it. So it is a good capability, and it's a bit scary that Russians are using it, because if massive numbers of Shaheds will be using this, it will be very difficult to take them down by the hundreds with interceptor drones. So as much as I hate to do it, I gotta give the Russians credit here, because this is a very great, very nice innovation for a recon drone. Talking about drones though, we go on, and I just gave the Russians a little bit credit. Now I gotta take it away, because this video is made in the oblast of Tatarstan, 1,200 kilometers from the front. And here the workers are seeing one Ukrainian kamikaze drone. So yeah, you're just casually working so far from Ukraine. You're working in one of the Russian state-owned oil companies. You're like, hey, I'm safe here. It's on the other side of the planet. It's 5 time zones away, and you still see Ukrainian drones flying. The guys were asking in the video, where are the jammers? Well, I gave the credit. I gotta take the credit away. There are jammers, but they just don't work good. And we'll end this segment with a barbecue. Do you miss a nice cold, I'm sorry, I have a flu, okay? It's hard for me to speak right now. Are you feeling that you are in lack of a nice warm barbecue that comes for free? Well, search no longer, because in Russia, the state provides you with one. A paint and coatings factory is on fire in Yaroslavl, Russia. The blaze has engulfed 4,500 square meters, with the roof already collapsed. The plant produces special coatings for military equipment to protect it from corrosion. I'm guessing it's that military green, you know, which every Russian missile bomb and artillery shell and plane comes out from the factory with, the blank military green. I'm guessing this factory makes this. Well, not anymore, because now it makes warmth and nice warm sausages on the barbecue. If I'd be a Russian citizen, I'd be happy that the state provides me with free barbecues. I'd be taking my meat and going to grill on this fire. Wow. Look at all these people already driving towards it to grill on it. Man, I'm having too much fun. And now, my friends, with my flu-driven brain, I'll be trying to butcher some buy me a coffee names. It will be even worse than usual, because now I don't understand anything. We have Gordon, Hiiumaa. Now, Hiiumaa is the second biggest island in Estonia, so I'm guessing Gordon actually know what's up and who are you. We've spoken a little bit. Gordon might be living on the second biggest island of Estonia. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Gordon. Then we have Jim Preva. Then we have King of Smut, 95. Ja, yläkoma. This is the, yeah. And finally, we have Someona. I think Someona is automatic from Buy Me a Coffee when you don't want to write your name, but you're not going to get away from me, because I still say Someona, so you have been credited. As I mentioned before, even on the front lines, it is grain harvesting season right now, August, in Estonia at least. In Ukraine it's a little bit before, because it's a warmer country. But now, since it is the grain harvesting seasons, we get a video like this of Russians hauling truck after truck after truck filled with grain taken or harvested from the occupied Ukrainian lands back to Russia. The thing is, occupied Ukrainian cities, they do need this grain. Donbass needs it, Luhansk needs it. It's under Russian control right now, but Russia still holds it back to Russia. It's very similar to what happened in Holodomor in the 30s in Ukraine when Stalin ordered the biggest man-made famine ever on the earth, where about 5 million Ukrainians died because of it in the span of 3 years. They exported massive amounts of grain and food from Ukraine, although the Ukrainian population was starving. This is a similar situation. They control these occupied lands and they exported this grain to Russia because Russia is having a grain shortage right now. So they don't give it to these lands which produce it. Even if they control it, they still steal it back to Russia. Talking about stealing, I have another video for you, which is a Russian commander talking about other Russian commanders who stole a lot, and it's a scheme. It's a massive scheme. So crazy, it's even hard to wrap my flu-driven brain around it right now, but it's real. And I just want to watch the video a little bit, then I'll tell you what happened, because you won't believe it, man. I wouldn't want to call it capitalism, it's just theft in its finest. Good evening. My friends, tonight we're going to have a heart-to-heart talk. It's a holiday. So, what the F is going on at the front commanders? Commanders are fighting over humanitarian aid. Somebody's selling here the chief of staff from the forest city. Okay, the subtitles are not working for me. The guy is with a thick accent and very angry, so it's hard for me to understand. So I'll just tell you what happened. You can watch the video on the screen on silent mode. So, turned out there was a commander in a certain Russian unit that made deals with the soldiers' wives of his unit. That means he has meat, right? He has these soldiers who have been mobilized, sent to his units. Everybody knows how much these wives will get, how big of an amount of money if the soldier dies in fighting. The commander has the power to say the soldier went missing. That means the wives don't get nothing, because if you don't die in combat, if you go missing, nobody gets nothing. If the commander would to be persuaded to give a signature that the soldier died in combat, it doesn't matter if you really went missing or didn't, then the wives would get a lot of money. But why would the commander want to do that? Well, maybe he gets a lot of money from it through the wives. So one of the commanders made deals with 6 of the wives of 6 of his meat assault soldiers. He'd get 50-50 from the dead soldiers that the Russian government is paying to the wives. So he has the incentive to mark these soldiers as deceased in combat. And the wives would give him half of the money. So, this is, I think this is what he did. He sent these guys just to, meat assault, take the flag and go and plant it and make a video or something. The guys died, of course, and now, this is where I don't understand what really happened, because they split with the wives, but what, number 3, supposedly he disappeared with the cash, so he took all the money from the wives. Well, first of all, you're kind of selling your soldiers, and then you're stealing from the widows. And third, you're stealing from the Russian government, which is your country. You're stealing from your homeland. You're stealing from the widows of your soldiers. And then you're sending your soldiers to die, or the other order around. But this is if Satan was a person, he would be this certain Russian commander right here. I gotta give it to them. They are creative if it comes to theft. But now, my friends, we'll go to a Russian university in Chelyabinsk, which, I don't know which lecture is this, but they are learning about the Russian singer Shaman, which came out with the song in 2024, Ya Ruski, which means I am Russian. It's a pure zombifying, brain cell killing song, which basically tries to brainwash you into going to donate your body to a meat assault or something. I'll just read you. The subtitles is 40 seconds long. And this girl here filming her face, I guess, is finding it hard to be in this class. Which key phrase here really work? Well, except for, I am Russian, right? That one is clear to us. Despite the whole world Why, despite the whole world, they're like doing this semantics. What is this when you analyze symbols in stuff? They're doing this. They analyze RUS DRG, which is like pure propaganda zombifying song, pretty much ordered by the Russian government, and they're taking this apart with university students who are supposed to, study very smart stuff, but they're doing this. And here, I'm going to the end. I'm going to the end. What can this phrase mean? How can we interpret it? I mean, look at this girl's face. Obviously, she interprets it that going to the end means going to die in a meat assault. She knows it. Look at that face. She gets it. He's going to the end. He's like some student answered. He's going to the end. I think that's what it means. He's like, yeah, you're right. The genius of this song lies in this simplicity. That's why people sing it. And the girl is having a very fun time here. Like, what? The genius of this song actually lies in the Russian government paying a lot of money to shaman to sing it, and it's a propaganda song. And they listen to it. I'm not sure if I can actually have you listen to the song, because first of all, it will kill your brain cells. Second of all, I think it's copyrighted. But it's Russian government and school education system is zombifying people on unprecedented speed and levels. So yeah, they're preparing the next hundreds of thousands of people in Russia to go and die in a meat assault in the next wars. Talking about propaganda, in Russia, since Donald Trump decided to make a Chamberlainian meeting with Putin, in Russia, Alaska propaganda is in full swing, because of course everybody knows Alaska was part of Russia before they sold it to the United States, and now Russians are airing day and night Alaska propaganda because Putin will be going back to Russian motherland, the original motherland, because Alaska was part of Tsarist Russia, and Putin is the great unifier of Russian lands now. To go back to Alaska is like to, bring it back to the bosom, whatever you want to put it as. I'll read you the subtitles. Chances for peace, Putin and Trump, this Friday in Alaska. It is no longer a matter who said what first. New report from Anchorage. In Alaska, there are more than 700 toponyms with Russian roots, which is like, okay. So they're feeding to the Russian people that Alaska has very strong Russian origins and Russian roots in the language and names and everything, which is not true. I mean, if you go to Alaska, it's so American as it can. Like, it's one of the most American areas America has. It's the wild frontier still to this day in a way. But it has a few Russian churches, nothing more. By the way, what Putin came out with his peace proposal now. What is his proposal? Or demands, actually. He has demands, not proposals. What is what he wants in Alaska? What is he's trying to get? Well, withdrawal of the armed forces of Ukraine from Donbass. Withdrawal of the Russian armed forces from Sumy and Dnipropetrovsk and Kharkiv, which is like there are no Russian armed forces there or in a very small area. This is nothing. Ukraine's committed not to join NATO. Demilitarization of Ukraine's constitutional reform towards a federal structure will basically make Ukrainian army non-existent. Russia wants to conclude bilateral agreement with the United States without the participation of Ukraine and the EU. So Russia wants to make the deal with the United States, not Ukraine. It's, oh my God, it's the Yalta conference, man. It's so bad. Okay, I'll skip it, otherwise I'll be triggered, and I have a flu, so I cannot be triggered, right? So, I'll end this video with a very nice, I enjoyed very nice, because I grew up with the Call of Duty games. Call of Duty 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is where I played. 8 was, I think, Black Ops 2 or 3. This is when I stopped playing Call of Duty. But almost all on these games, Russia, in the modern warfare versions at least, Russia is the enemy, right? And they, in the Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which is the 8th part actually, Russians invade United States of America, and they use nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers and choppers and like massive amounts of troops equipped to oblivion, landing in Washington and New York and everywhere. And you played it through, and it was the Russians you hunted on the streets of America, and they were like tough enemies, depending on the difficulty. Now we know that Russians have donkeys, and their commanders are selling the troops to get money from the widows. So Activision, the studio that created Call of Duty, said this: "We would like to formally apologize for using Russia as antagonists in our Call of Duty series. Had we known the truth, we would have used a much more competent military, such as Cuba or Laos." And this is true in its every word. I played Call of Duty even as a 14, 13-year-old Estonian teenager. I already saw it what? These are not the Russians I know. These Russians in this computer game are equipped and trained and motivated. I haven't seen Russians like that ever in my life almost. So I was already confused 15 years ago. But now finally they come out with this, that they gave them too much credit. They gave them everything. They gave them equipment, aircraft carriers, submarines, when in reality they have donkeys. My friends, it was fun to make this video for you while having a flu. I feel like I'm high a little bit. Everything is spinning. But please do get my book, 8 Missions in Ukraine, because there I open up the fact even more of what the Russians really are, what the country really is, and what is the idea behind their whole existence. Because in Western Europe or in America, it might be a little bit difficult to understand it. It really takes some context. So here is where you get it. Also, a lot of humor in here. Borat jokes. Until my next video, my friends, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video.